Good afternoon. Today's speaker came to the Columbus Museum of Art almost 30 years ago. Since that time, she's been highly decorated as an arts and a nonprofit leader on a local, statewide, and national basis. Here to discuss her vision for the museum, as well as upcoming exhibitions and programs, please welcome Nannette Maciejunes.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you. I don't want to trip it. All right. Well, I feel very honored to be here on such an auspicious meeting, your 2000th meeting. That's an incredible achievement. And now I know all about you. See, I know all the dirt on you guys. It sounds like it's an incredible club. I love speaking to Rotarians. I think I love speaking to Rotarians more than any other group in the city because of your commitment to service, what you do for this community year in and year out to make it a better place to live, to make it a place that we all thrive. And that's one of the greatest things about Rotary. So I'm always proud to be at Rotary. I'm here to tell you what's going on in the Art Museum, but I'm really here to excite you about the Art Museum. Because one of the things I find out when I talk to groups is that most people are like, oh yeah, well, I felt selected out of that. I'm not an art person, I'm not, that kind of thing. Or I have a few people who I love the last show you did. But I want to excite those of you who think, well, what's the Art Museum got to do with me? And what's the Art Museum got to do with our community? And I think many of you do know that I also get to tell you about a great construction program that we are in the middle of. But let me start with the probably most exciting thing that has happened to us in recent days. And that is that we won the national medal this year for museums and libraries. Every year, the Institute for Museum and Library Services gives out 5 awards to museums and 5 to libraries across the country. You compete. It's a highly competitive medal. You build a case about what you're doing to help change and transform your community. They want you to do great exhibitions. They want you to collect great art. That's not what this award is about. This award is about transformational work in your community. The definition of a museum is anything that's not a library. So the pool is huge. It's children's museums, zoos, aquariums, history museums, cultural museums, art museums. We are only the 16th art museum to ever win this award. It is very rare for art museums to win it. And the other thing is we become just Columbus, Ohio becomes one of a handful of cities in this country that has an IMLS National Medalist Museum and National Medalist Library. Because our Columbus Public Library, Columbus and Franklin County Public Library won this year. Am I still on? Yeah. I'm good? I'm very noisy, you probably hear without the mic, but it's a little easier. So you go to the White House to get this award, and you're standing there with the First Lady. The young man that is to the right of the left of the slide is a young man that represents the kind of community work we've been doing. He was one of our original art lab students in our high school program, which is a program that really engages high school students in an informal learning environment in which we mentor them and they mentor each other. I am proud to tell you that I feel the Art Museum changed the trajectory of this young man's life. When he came to us, he was terrified of technology. I want you to imagine being terrified of technology being 16 in this culture. Where are you going? You're not going anywhere in this culture if you're 16 years old and you're terrified of technology. This program turned that around. He now wants to be a filmmaker. Who knows if he'll be a filmmaker? But he has an ambition. We helped him get into Columbus State. He is on the fast track to Ohio State University. And that's the work the museum is doing. We're changing young people's lives every day. And we're changing all of our lives because the other award-winning program that IMLS noted for us was our new Dementia and Alzheimer's program. We have a very special program for sufferers of Alzheimer's and dementia and their caregivers. And I can tell you from talking to people, including my own family that has Alzheimer's sufferers, and this is a transformational program. So that is something we did this year that we really want you all to know about. The museum is really, we changed our mission a few years ago. We had the long mission statement that I can never remember, and no one can remember. And now it's a really simple one. We're about great experiences with great art for everyone. We're about that electric connection between art and people. And you'll see a lot of changes in our galleries with a lot of things we call connectors where you can get involved. Because, the truth is, most of us go, you've had that moment, like, I'll stand in front of this painting and look good and hope that people think that I know what I'm looking at. You all have had this moment, you know that. And, and you're like, how many pictures in this gallery do I have to like, kind of thing. The truth is, most people linger in a gallery a very short period of time, and puzzles and games and things where people can respond back in a Post-it note, I have to tell you, that slows people down and gets them to kind of engage and talk to one another. This idea that you have to be silent in the museum is not true. We want you actually communicating with each other. One of the things we've learned about people is when we all go to art museum, places like art museums, what we need from that place is different depending on who we're with. If we're with our kids or our grandkids, we want one kind of experience. We're going to go down to the Center for Creativity in the Wonder Room and do an interactive play thing because we're with our grandkids. If we're with a colleague or a friend, we're going to want a different kind of experience. So the museum is very much engaged in creating these kind of layered experiences. We're also doing what we've always done, which is take care of a world-class art collection that I can tell you we lend dozens of works of art from this collection. Every year, we take the name of Columbus, Ohio, around the world every year with these fantastic loans to museums, literally across the globe. In fact, we were in one of the first big exhibitions of art from the United States that went to China a few years ago. We have really great modernist pictures. That's really what we're known for, is late 19th century and early 20th century modernism. I'm hoping some of these you've actually remembered that you've seen. We have a fantastic photography collection and also an incredibly important folk art collection and an increasingly important contemporary art collection. The image in the center is a very important contemporary painting. And one of the reasons we're investing in the infrastructure of the building that will create some more space for collections, because when we opened our historic 1931 building, our historic building in 1931, we owned 500 things. And when we added the 70s edition had lots of interesting things in it, but it didn't have any gallery space in it. And now today we have more than 11,000 objects, and we still have the same 10 galleries that we had in 1931. So one of the things that we're going to be able to do with the expanded space is share more of our collection. It isn't about getting everything up. It's about a commitment to a collection. And parts of the collection that you don't get to see so much. We have an extraordinary pre-Columbian collection. Let's see if I can find the little... that we're going to be able to share with you. Asian art object we'll be able to share. Wonderful contemporary glass. The piece on the far right is an incredibly important piece of contemporary art glass. But one of the things I want to excite you about is the idea that a great city deserves a great art museum. When you look out at great cities across the country and across the world, one of the things that unites and brings people together is their cultural community. The fabric of that community that runs from the performing arts through the visual arts. That is an important part of what knits us together and what is a shared experience and a shared way of asking new ideas about the world. This is me and the mayor. This is the mayor and me, I guess. In our new garden. Right now, while we're under construction, this is actually the centerpiece of where you enter. This is actually our entrance right now while we're under construction. And the mayor, and I must tell you, the city council, the mayor, the county commissioners have been extraordinary supportive of the museum. I can't thank our public officials enough. One of the big changes at the art museum, okay, we still do, as I said, we take care of our great collection. We bring great works of art here. We brought a great Caravaggio painting a year or so ago to visit. We are going to be doing a Toulouse-Lautrec show, and when we finish with our building, we'll be doing a Picasso show. So we want to bring you world-class art that you get to look at. Great experiences with art right here in Columbus. But one of the big things we talk about at the Art Museum now is creativity. We see ourselves as a key advocate for creativity in our community. And creativity in its broadest sense. One of the saddest things I have to tell you is I went around this, we had time, if I went around this room and asked each of you, most of you would deny that you were creative. You'd say, oh, John over here is creative, or Sarah's creative, I'm not very creative. And we're having, that is, maybe at our age it's okay to say. I don't think it is, but maybe, we've bumped around in the world, we've been out there, maybe we're a little shy about saying something like that. But our kids are now saying that. We actually track in this country, actually across the globe, they not only track IQs, they track creativity quotients. And in the United States, decade after decade, our IQ scores went up with our kids, and our creativity scores went up with our kids. Guess what happened a few years ago in the Torrance creativity test? Our kids' scores started to drop. Our kids, our tests, when you take this, it's like an IQ test, that's for creativity. Those kids are actually less creative than they were a decade ago. One of the unintended consequences of testing in our current education community is that we are teaching our kids that there's an answer. Here's the question, what's the answer? And you know what? That isn't going to solve the problems of the 21st century. We need our kids thinking out of the box. We need them to embrace creativity, brainstorming, experimentation. And there's no better place than the Art Museum for this. When our great partner in the city on this is COSI, we work with COSI quite a bit, because guess what? Art type experimenting is just the opposite side of the coin as scientific experimenting. They're very, very connected. We need to raise a generation of young people in the United States that can ask questions and figure out the questions and the answers to questions that we don't know. And we're really committed to this. So we've built something called the Center for Creativity, which is a space in the museum, but it's also a philosophy, it's also a stream of programming, and the recognition that we got out of the IMLS for that national medal is very connected to our work in creativity. And I want to excite you about that, and I want you to think about the world that we're creating with the next generation of young people because of that. We are building an expansion. We love our architecture, but we talk about it being mission-centered architecture. Columbus is not a destination place, maybe like New York or LA or Chicago, but it is a city that draws from about a 2 or 3 hour driving distance to us, and we also have a community that uses and reuses its museum, so it's about what happens inside our building. This is the original sketch that was done of the expansion. And let me give it to you in a photo rendering. That on the left is our beautiful 1931 historic building, which we absolutely love. We have already renovated that. We have 2 phases of our project already done. Phase 1 was renovating this little Italianate building that's on our property that was the original art school building. And now it's our office complex. And then we renovated the beautiful 1931 historic building, and now we are building on the east side of the building a beautiful 2-story wing connected by a glass, glass connector. The architect called it the shard of light. I love architects; they come up with great stuff. But this is the way it will look as it fronts Broad Street, and this is as you used to come up to the, let's see. There used to be a staircase right here, and you walked into the building, and this was all a parking lot. So now what we have is this is the 2-story wing. This is the new entry experience, and it's a beautiful glass shard, glass atrium. There's a new sculpture garden that will be right where the front part of the parking lot is. And then we're redoing the parking lot, and there will be just the most critical, important question in Columbus, Ohio. Is there parking? Yes. There will be exactly as much parking for the public today, and we were done as there was when we went in. Eventually there needs to be a little parking garage in Columbus, in our neighborhood, but we're not quite there yet. This is the entry shard. It'll be light-filled. One of our challenges is our current, if you've been to the museum, when you go into the 70s building, it's sort of cave light. We want to lift you up, not kind of oppress you with darkness. And as you come in, the new exhibition hall for special exhibitions will be on your left. The store will be right here, and the new palette cafe will be right there. The second floor will be expanded space for collections, and here is one of those wings, and this is looking out on Broad Street. One of the things we've heard again and again from people is they wanted to see into the museum when they're passing. They want to see what's going on. They want to feel a part of it. They want that transparency with the street. Some upcoming programs that in case you got some time on your schedule. Next Thursday night, a week from tomorrow, we are bringing a New York pianist here. Her name is Leslie Ampers. She has performed in Washington, New York, and London. This program, she's done a program all about George Bellows, who of course was from Columbus, Ohio. And George and Emma Bellows, their life in music. And they do the Gershwins. This is going to be a great program. It starts at 7 next Thursday night. Just call and hold a seat. It doesn't cost anything to come. It's a free program thanks to Keith and Nadine Pierce, who every year fund a great American program at the museum. So we're very, very grateful. Also for the holidays, in case you're thinking about kids and grandkids, we last year started doing a holiday program on Legos and all the artists and creative people doing Legos. These are not people who buy the kit. I'm capable of doing the kit. I can follow directions. These are actually people who just can do incredible things with Legos. And we call the project Think Outside the Brick. And so that's coming. It opens on November 8th and runs through the holidays. And then, did I miss one, Nancy?
Oh, maybe they're out of order.
They're out of order. Okay, so then let's go jump one so I won't get, wait. There it is. And the other thing that's opening before the holidays is the first museum exhibition anywhere of this very young, hot photographer who is scheduled to have his first exhibition in New York and LA in the next 2 years, but he's going to be in Columbus first. He does these huge photographs. That photograph is about this big. And he still works in film, which is very unusual. Most everyone's gone digital. And he literally soaks his photographs. This is a photograph of a lake. This is what this is. This is a lake. And what he does is then take the lake water and he soaks the print in lake water so it'll begin to deteriorate. And it becomes this very strange image. His name is Matthew Brandt, and we are doing the first photography exhibition. And we have actually made our New York colleagues a little jealous about that. So we're kind of excited about that. In February, after we finally take that deep breath after the holidays, we have this great exhibition called Toulouse-Lautrec and La Vie Moderne, which is all about pop culture in Paris at the turn of the century. You know, in addition to being a great painter, Toulouse-Lautrec was a great poster maker. So that's happening. Some other things in case you don't follow programming at the museum. We do lots of things. We have doodles on first Saturdays. It's a drop-in program if you're looking for things to do with young ones. There's always great creative activities. We've got family adventure tours. We have something called the Art Book Club that we do 4 times a year. We read a novel that has an art theme or a nonfiction. We did Monuments then. It's a presentation and then a discussion, and often we get the author on the phone. We're going to do Dan Brown's Inferno in December, and before you ask me, no, Dan Brown will not be on the phone. It's the less famous novelist and writers to be on the phone. And the last one I think is, no? Let's see. Oh, wait, there it goes. I must have skipped that one. We're starting a new thing at the museum called Wednesdays at 2. We got lots of friends. Mention this to your friends who aren't working anymore. We're going to do a series of programs on Wednesday afternoons. We're going to test those on book club is Thursday evenings and Sundays. So we're going to test these weekday afternoon programs, particularly for our friends who are retired and looking for some great things to stimulate their minds during the weekdays. So we're going to do some collaborations with Thurber House, Pro Musica. And we're bringing a great fashion expert from Kent State. That'll be fun. So great programming coming. We are going to be open through this entire construction process. We are finishing up our campaign. I brought you a little card that got you excited. We broke ground on the 3rd phase. It's called Breaking Tradition, Breaking Ground. And oh yes, there's a way that you could give to the museum campaign. You know that I have to say that. And we'll be done by the fall of 2015. And we'll be opening with a Picasso exhibition. So we're very, very excited. And I hope that I can excite you about the museum. So, questions? Things you want to complain about? Things you want to praise about? Yeah.
Having left some of my child's artwork on my dash and having it now very faded, I wonder with your very glass new wing, what do you do to protect the art?
The good news is that the north side, so there's big glass on both ends. The north side is easy because you don't get direct light. It's the other side facing broad that we've got to be very careful about. They've built a very deep overhang that will help a lot, but then there's also these shades that come down. So we're going to try to do the best of both worlds. Light, but also protected, because you're very, very right. Anything that you have that's works on paper or photography should not be exposed to a lot of direct light because you will have a faded thing. You're right. Well, come and see us. We're still free on Sundays, and I'd love to see some great Rotarians come down and visit.